Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this podcast, I'm going to discuss about the second lecture in Kent lectures on homeopathic philosophy, and it is nothing but a continuation or say an explanation of the aphorism of Hahnemann's Organ of Medicine. That is the second aphorism, wherein the highest ideal of a cure is explained, and what is explained according to Kent, I'll be discussing in this podcast. So keep listening to this podcast. So, according to Kent, something is said to be a cure only when it fulfills three things. First thing is it is restoration of health and just not removal of the symptoms, which most of the people think. Let me put it a bit clearly. Like, we get a lot of confused with the terms and terminologies and the sentences which are written in this, but the only thing that is being communicated over here is that we think that if symptoms are removed, if externally the person is looking good, then the person is free from disease in one scenario. And in some scenarios, we say it's not just removal of symptoms, it is restoration of health. And internally, also, the man needs to feel healthy and hale. Like, what does that mean? So, don't get yourself a bit, confused because of all this terminology. It is being a bit complicated, to be honest. It's not understandable for the students who are studying in college to be precise, because they don't know what is treatment and they don't know what is cure unless and until they practically see that. Theoretically, you can understand that a cure is something when a person is suffering with cold and he gets rid of cold and the cold reduces, then he's cured. Or if a person suffers with recurrent headaches and if that symptom is gone, then you can say that he is cured. But in here it is explained that again, that is not just removal of symptoms and that is restoration of health, and it all gets mixed up and messed up. So don't get yourself a bit confused and a lot confused in such scenarios. Be with open-minded, and just try to understand what the author is trying to explain to you. And that is just this thing, that cure is something that, apart from removal of symptoms, should be completed by restoration of health. We all know that one becomes sick or gets disease when someone becomes ill in the first place and then they develop symptoms. So symptoms are something secondary that are happening to the illness, which is disturbance in the vitality or the vital force or the general balance that is expected to be observed when a person is in healthy situation. So that is being disturbed, right? So what happens in some scenarios is the symptom is removed. For example, if a person is suffering with a gallbladder stone, the stone is removed by some surgery, or say the gallbladder itself is removed. And if you understand cure to be just the removal of those symptoms, then that's not correct, because the gallbladder is removed, that doesn't mean the person is completely hale and healthy, because still they suffer with that abdominal bloating, and still they suffer with that constipation, or still they suffer with that eructations, and all such gastric issues are still going on because the internal vitality is not restored to health. So this is something which he or Kent is trying to explain in this lecture, and I guess I made it a bit clear. So these are some examples I would like to say. For example, if a person is suffering with a degenerated knee joint, and in that scenarios, of course, the only treatment that can, we think mostly, the conventional system thinks mostly, is that replacement surgery should be done, and we think the person is cured, but that's not correct. If you ask any person who undergoes that knee replacement surgery, the pain will be only eased for some moment, some time at least, but after that the situation is back to the normalcy, because the vitality is not restored, the maintaining factors are not restored, because the degeneration occurs due to obesity, and the degeneration occurs due to lack of movement, stiffness of the muscles, and lack of malnourishment. It can be happening because of like calcium deficiency, vitamin D deficiency. So unless and until these all things are taken care of, you can't expect that mechanical procedure will completely restore the health of the person. So it's not done. So what Ken tries to explain is, and there are 3 points as I said. So the first thing is restoration of health must be followed, removal of the symptoms must be followed by the restoration of health, and it cannot be called a cure if it doesn't happen in that way. And also it should be remembered that there should be a corresponding inward improvement whenever an outward symptom has been caused to disappear, and this will be true whenever disease has been displaced by order. So the orderliness is to be restored and the health is to be put in place, that not just the removal of the disease. And the perfection of a cure consists then first in restoring her health, and this is to be done promptly, mildly, and permanently. Promptly means it may be soon and as much as quickly as possible. It shouldn't take years together, and it should be mildly. It shouldn't have any injurious effect on the person taking that medicine or under the treatment, and it should be a permanent one. It's not like the person is suffering with something only to get it back again. Like a person has this seasonal flu, and in this year he used medicine and he's better, and again the next year is again getting back. It's not done. We can't say that as a cure because he's suffering with it again, and it takes a bit of time for him to completely get cured, and that is something cure implies. And the third point he explains is upon the principles are that are at once plain and intelligible. That means which are understandable, which can be understood by your logical mind as such. It's not just acceptable by you as such because someone said that way, but it should be you should find it a bit sensible one. Like it should be okay with your common sense as well. Because if I say that a person is having this gangrene, and if I say that I cut off that I'll amputate that part, and if I say that I've cured that person, maybe partly I've done that, but it doesn't mean a complete cure. Because gangrene, the reason for the gangrene should be understood. It may be diabetes, uncontrolled sugar levels, or it may be due to some kind of septicemia existing in the blood, or it may be due to any bleeding disorders, or it may be due to any other ailment that should be controlled. Like if diabetes is the reason for that gangrene situation, so the diabetic levels should be put under control. The first thing, the diet should be altered, and the person should be getting good nutritious food, and the lifestyle needs to be altered. So these are the things are also important to be taken care of, which are generally left out by the current day physicians, specifically conventional physicians, and to be precise, surgeons. Generally they think that removal of I owe a lot of respect to surgeons, to be honest, because they are really good and they indeed save lives, and those are really life saving procedures, but you can't expect them to be life easing procedures. That means they can't ease someone who is suffering with a chronic issue, and they can't help someone suffering with chronic issue unless and until lifestyle, dietary and internal vitality is restored back to health. So that is something which homeopathy does. And not just that thing, as I said, life saving procedures. So it's not a debate about who is good, who is bad, but it's a common sense that which is to be employed, or say which system is to be used when which kind of health issues to be faced with. So that is something which is explained in this whole lecture. And I know it's not exactly the thing which I'm trying to explain, but I want you guys to have a basic idea. After listening to this explanation, if you go back and read the lecture, I guess it will make a bit sense, unless rather than you just read it blindly and just try to get up with some kind of ideas. So I just don't want to feed something. I just want you to be open-minded and just try to understand what the author is trying to put into your brains. And so something explanations are also given, like the Herring's laws of cure, that like if a cure is established, that will be following in three directions. That means like the disease will move from more important organ to less important organ, and from inwards to outwards, and from above downwards, and the last appearing symptom will be the first to be disappearing. So these are some kind of ideas, but guys, trust me, in the practice, if you see, I guess you won't be really bothered or say think whether the treatment is going in this way or not. To be honest, I didn't get a chance to actually see whether the treatment is going according to Herring's laws of cure or not. But yeah, they may be guiding you in in some difficult cases when you're really confused, where you don't have an idea, like is the person really becoming good or is he worsening. Well, then Herring law of cure will definitely guide you and make you understand whether your treatment is going correct or you need to make any changes if needed. And in old incurable cases, complaints come on to surface that have existed a long time. As I said, the newer symptoms disappear and the older symptoms symptoms may reappear which have been suppressed maybe with some other kind of medication, so they come up generally. So in this lecture, basically how cure occurs is being explained, and if you have learned to prescribe for the patient even though he suffer, if you have learned what is right and do not do it, it is a violation of conscience. So what he says is sometimes aggravation of symptoms occur because they have been suppressed when first time they appeared, or say when they were expressed by the body. So when it has been it has been suppressed, it will be coming up again when the treatment starts. So some physicians get panicked that they start prescribing another medicine for that, but what he says is it should be a time to be waiting and watching, not just immediate medication intervention shouldn't be there. But I would like to guide you guys in this. Sometimes what happens is the aggravation is a bearable one and seems to be a good one, then you can prescribe SL and make them person understand that he'll be fine. But sometimes medication intervention may be needed, so don't blindly stick to this idea that you shouldn't intervene with the treatment and should wait and watch all the time. So let's not be very much prejudiced about this and try to be as flexible as possible. So in the concluding paragraph, that is something which I really like. I'll be reading it out and I'll be explaining again that one. It is a duty of the physician then first to find out what is in the matter, that is disorder, and then to restore him to health. And this return to the health, which is a perfect cure, is to be accomplished by the means that are mild, that are orderly, that flow gently like the life force itself, turning the internal of man into order with fixed principles as his guide, and by a homeopathic remedy. So to put it in simple words, it's like how cure occurs and how you need to be responding and how you need to identify what cure is. That is explained in this second lecture of Kent's homeopathic philosophy. It runs in conjunction with the second aphorism, like what is cure. So that's what I wanted to